Okay, imagine this feeling. Someone walks up and says, hey, I have some feedback for you. What happens for a lot of us, right? There's that immediate physical thing, a pang in your gut, maybe shoulders tense up.
Oh, definitely. That little defensive clench, it's almost automatic.
Exactly. We brace ourselves, for criticism, for what we did wrong. But what if that really uncomfortable moment, that very human urge to pull back, what if it's actually a doorway?
A doorway. I like that. Not just something to endure.
Right. What if it's not about what you're missing, but about unlocking your biggest strength?
It's such a universal thing, isn't it, that reaction?
Yeah.
Our brains are just wired to see potential criticism as, well, a threat. It kicks in that old fight or flight.
Primal stuff.
Totally. But what's really fascinating and what we're digging into today is how our whole approach to feedback, getting it, giving it, can either slam the brakes on growth or, totally supercharge it.
That's exactly why today we are doing a deep dive into this whole world of feedback. Our mission really is to unpack why going out and seeking feedback, not just kind of waiting for it, is like a genuine superpower for your work, for your life.
Absolutely. It's a proactive stance.
Yeah. And we'll look at navigating those, let's be honest, sometimes tough conversations. We'll uncover maybe some surprising reasons why the old ways of doing feedback sometimes just miss the mark.
They really can. And we'll get into some newer, more brain-friendly ways to help ourselves and others truly perform at their best.
Get ready to maybe rethink your relationship with feedback. Supercharge that journey to being more self-aware, more effective, more influential. Okay, so let's jump right in. This idea of actively seeking feedback, especially the constructive, critical kind, it feels wrong somehow. Why go looking for trouble?
It does seem counterintuitive, I get that. But that's exactly where we need to shift our thinking. Going after feedback, it's not weakness. Not at all. It's actually a really powerful signal.
The signal of what?
That you're invested, that you care about your work, that you're genuinely eager to grow. And beyond just, getting better, it's smart career-wise.
How so?
Well, it helps you pinpoint things you need to improve things you might literally be blind to. And maybe even more importantly, it keeps you visible.
Visible.
Yeah, top of mind. For promotions, raises, the interesting projects, because you're showing that initiative.
Ah, okay. I can definitely see how that sends a message of ambition, of commitment. And I guess it's got to be even more crucial when you're starting something new, like a new job, new team.
Precisely. Those first few weeks, months, you're not just learning tasks, you're setting your reputation, your working style. Asking for feedback then shows you're proactive. It helps you sync up fast with how the team works. And crucially, you can fix tiny misunderstandings before they become big problems.
Makes sense. Catch things early.
And here's something really surprising, backed by research from places like Harvard and Wharton.
Oh, get this.
People who actually ask for advice, they're seen as more competent.
Wait, really? More competent, not less.
More competent. You'd think asking for help makes you look like you don't know.
Totally. That's the intuition.
But nope. It actually builds trust and makes colleagues see you as more capable.
That is, wow. Okay, that flips my thinking. So seeking feedback is also like holding up a mirror then to see those blind spots we all have.
Exactly like a mirror.
Wow.
Things you do with totally good intentions that maybe land differently with other people. Feedback helps you see that gap.
The impact versus the intent.
Right. And when you're the one asking proactively, you're never blindsided. It takes away a lot of that anxiety, wondering what people really think. It can even help fight off that nagging imposter syndrome. You're taking control of the conversation, guiding it towards what you need to grow.
Taking control. I like that framing. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. But okay, let's be real. Even with all these benefits, seeking it, receiving it, especially the critical stuff, it still feels really uncomfortable for most of us. I know I still get that little knot in my stomach sometimes.
Oh, you are definitely not alone there. It's universally uncomfortable, giving it and getting it. We tend to, sugarcoat things. Or we put off saying something difficult until the right moment.
Which often means
it never happens. The moment passes.
And that reluctance, that can lead to what some call a culture of nice, right? Where everyone's super pleasant on the surface.
Polite avoidance.
But underneath, issues fester, trust erodes, nothing really improves. And worse, it can actually hold some people back, right? Like women, people of color. They might miss out on the really crucial insights they need to grow and advance.
That's such a critical point. This lack of honest, useful feedback isn't just about individual awkwardness. It's about genuine organizational equity. It holds people back.
Yeah.
But there is good news here. The more you actually do it, Give feedback, ask for it, receive it. The
Yeah.
easier it gets, it becomes less of a big, scary thing.
More normal.
Yeah, more natural. Just part of how you communicate. Like, telling a friend they have spinach in their teeth.
Nah, right. A bit awkward maybe, but ultimately helpful.
Exactly. Honest, but kind. That's the goal.
Okay, so we've built a pretty strong case for why we should be actively seeking feedback. The big question now is, how? How do we actually do this effectively? And maybe the first thing is, who do you even ask?
That's a great place to start. Generally, feedback falls into two main camps. You've got your formal feedback, that's usually from your boss, right? Performance reviews, one-on-ones. It's structured, often linked to goals.
The official stuff.
Right. Then there's informal feedback. This is gold. You can get it from a mentor, a trusted colleague, someone on another team even. It's more relaxed, conversational.
And maybe offers different perspectives.
Totally. Fresh angles you wouldn't get through the official channels. Both types are super valuable. You need both.
Okay, good distinction. So you don't always need that big formal meeting. Our sources also outline 6 key tips, sort of strategies, for getting good at asking. Number 1 is set a clear goal and prep specific questions.
So important. Don't just wander in and ask, so how am I doing?
Yeah, vague question, vague answer.
Exactly. Be specific. Try something like that presentation I gave last week. How well did it align with the team's objectives? And was there anything I could have done to make the key messages land better?
Okay, much better, more targeted.
Or thinking about how I manage client communication, especially follow-ups. Are there ways I could be more efficient or clearer? And when you ask peers, you could try questions like, what's one thing I do really well right now, and what's one thing I could focus on improving going forward?
I like that one thing framing, less overwhelming.
Right. Or even, have you noticed any small gaps in my professionalism, like timeliness, how I handle distractions? Specifics get you actionable stuff.
That makes total sense. Specific questions yield specific, useful feedback. Okay, tip number 2. Seek feedback at key milestones. Don't just wait for the annual review cycle.
Absolutely. Think about natural checkpoints. After finishing a big project, prime time. During those review periods, sure, but also when you're shifting roles or taking on new responsibilities, use those moments.
Got it. Number 3 seems simple but probably important. Schedule a time.
Yeah, especially for more formal input. Put it on the calendar. It gives both you and the other person time to actually think, to reflect.
Allows for preparation.
Exactly. For more casual stuff, quick chat and email, that can work fine too. But for deeper dives, book it.
Okay. Number 4, be an active participant. It's not just about sitting there and taking it.
Right. Don't be passive. Take notes, jot down the key points, ask follow-up questions like, could you give me an example of that? Or help me understand that perspective better.
Dig deeper, clarify.
Yeah, show you're engaged. It's a conversation, a two-way street. It also signals you really value their input, builds trust.
Which leads perfectly into number 5. Keep an open mind. This might be the toughest one. Got to check the ego, right?
Oh, yeah. Big time. Resist that urge to get defensive. Remind yourself, this is about your growth. It's a gift, even if it feels uncomfortable.
What if you hear something really surprising or something you disagree with?
Try saying something like, okay, thank you for sharing that perspective. I hadn't really thought about that way before. Let me mull that over.
Acknowledging, not necessarily agreeing immediately.
Exactly. Just showing you've heard it and you're considering it.
Yeah.
Getting defensive just shuts the conversation down and makes it less likely they'll be honest next time.
Good point. Okay, and the last one, number 6. Measure and review your progress. Feedback isn't much use if you don't do anything with it.
Right. This is where you close the loop. Use something like the SMART framework specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Set actual goals based on the feedback.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you get feedback on public speaking. Maybe you rush or seem nervous. A SMART goal could be, I will practice presenting the key points of my next project update to a small group of colleagues once a week for the next 4 weeks, asking them specifically about my pacing and clarity.
Okay, very concrete, measurable.
Exactly. It makes the feedback actionable, shows you're serious about it, and demonstrates to the person who gave it that their time and insight mattered.
So those are great individual strategies. But what about building this into the fabric of a team or organization? How do we move beyond feedback just being this awkward annual thing?
Yeah, building a true culture of feedback. It really has to start at the top. Leaders need to walk the talk.
How so?
They need to actively seek feedback themselves, visibly, and then crucially, show that they're acting on it. That sends a powerful message. And think about this. Some Some data suggests around 62% of customer purchase decisions are tied to customer experience.
Okay.
And customer experience is hugely shaped by feedback, right? So leaders modeling feedback isn't just like a nice-to-have HR thing. It's actually a core business driver.
That's a really strong link. Okay, so leaders model it. What else?
Foster really open, honest communication. Make sure there are clear, easy ways for people to share feedback up, down, sideways, and create routines. Make it normal. Maybe personal feedback Fridays where you make a point to ask stakeholders for input, or setting aside specific non-negotiable time in team meetings for feedback sessions.
I heard some companies even do things like feedback luncheons.
Yeah, where people share what they're learning, maybe present a challenge they're facing, and literally ask the group, give me 2 tips on how I can handle this better next time.
Wow, that's putting it out there. Very vulnerable, but potentially very powerful.
Absolutely. And finally, organizations need to recognize and promote the people who are brave enough to actually build this culture. Put them in positions where they can influence others. Reward the behavior you want to see.
That really does shift it from being scary to being just part of how things get done. An ongoing positive thing. Okay, but now, let's throw a bit of a curveball in here. Something that really challenges the way we usually think about feedback. It's this idea called the feedback fallacy.
Ah, yes. This is fascinating stuff.
So while we've established seeking feedback is vital, the argument here is that some of the traditional ways we give and receive it might actually get in the way of learning, might actually hinder growth.
Exactly. It sounds paradoxical, but the research, particularly in psychometrics and neuroscience, points to some real issues with common feedback beliefs. There are about 3 core fallacies highlighted.
All right, let's break them down. Fallacy number 1.
It's called the source of truth fallacy. This is the belief that other people are somehow more objective about our weaknesses than we are, that they hold the truth about our performance.
Yeah, that seems logical, right? They have an outside perspective.
It seems logical, but decades of psychometric research paint a very different picture. Turns out, humans are, well, pretty unreliable raters of other humans.
Unreliable how?
Get this. More than half often, over 50% of your rating of someone else actually reflects your own biases, your personality, your rating patterns, not the person you're rating.
Whoa, hold on. So if I rate your presentation, more than half of that rating is actually about me, my preferences, my style.
Pretty much, yeah. It's called the idiosyncratic rater effect. And it's not random error, it's systematic. Like being colorblind for certain aspects of performance. Averaging more flawed ratings doesn't get you closer to the truth. It can actually amplify the distortion.
Mind blown. Okay, so if others aren't the source of objective truth about me, what is?
The only truly reliable source of truth about someone's experience is that person themselves, their own feelings, their own reactions. Think about it like a doctor asking about pain. They trust your rating of your pain, right? Similarly, we can only reliably share our own reaction to someone's actions, how it impacted us.
So I can't tell you you're a bad presenter, but I can say during that presentation I felt confused or I lost focus.
Exactly. You're sharing your truth, your experience. And that's incredibly valuable data for the other person. But it's different from claiming objective judgment about their inherent skill.
Okay, that's a massive shift. Huge. What's the second fallacy?
The second one is the learning is filling a vessel fallacy. The old idea that learning is about acquiring stuff you lack, like pouring knowledge into an empty head or fixing a deficit.
Yeah, find the weakness, fill the gap, standard practice.
Right. But neuroscience tells a different story. Our brains actually grow most powerfully where we're already strongest. New connections, new learning, it happens like new buds growing on the thickest, most established branches of a tree, where our neural pathways are already dense.
So focusing on weaknesses isn't the best way to learn.
Not according to the brain science. In fact, getting critical feedback focusing on what you did wrong tends to trigger that fight or flight response we talked about, the sympathetic nervous system.
The threat response.
Exactly. And that actually mutes the parts of the brain needed for complex thought and learning. It inhibits growth. Your brain literally gets defensive.
Wow. So criticism can shut down learning. What about focusing on strengths?
That activates the rest and digest system, the parasympathetic nervous system. It releases beneficial neurochemicals, stimulates new neuron growth, creates feelings of well-being, makes us open, more creative. So get this. We actually learn best, grow fastest in our comfort zones, where we feel confident and positive.
That completely blows up the whole get out of your comfort zone mantra.
It really does challenge it, doesn't it? It suggests maybe we should spend more time Understanding and building within our areas of natural strength.
Okay, fundamental rethink number 2. What's the third fallacy?
The third one is the excellence is universal and transferable fallacy. This is the assumption that great performance looks the same for everyone, that there's one right way to do something well, and we can define it, model it, and teach it to others.
Like a template for success.
Exactly. But think about it. Is there one way to be funny? Is Steve Martin's genius the same as Sarah Silverman's or Jerry Seinfeld's?
No, completely different styles. All brilliant but unique.
Right. Or think about elite athletes. Even something seemingly simple like shooting a free throw in basketball. Rick Barry had that famous underhand shot, totally weird, incredibly effective for him. Different top shooters have vastly different techniques. Excellence is idiosyncratic. It's unique to the individual.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense. My path to doing something brilliantly might look totally different from yours, even if we achieve the same great result.
Precisely. And here's the kicker. Studying failure tells you a lot about failure, but it tells you almost nothing about excellence.
How so?
Well, studying diseases tells you about diseases, not about health. Studying divorce doesn't teach you how to have a happy marriage. Excellence has its own patterns, its own ingredients, often completely different from the opposite of failure. In fact, sometimes excellence and failure even share traits. Think of strong egos in leaders can be key to success or lead to disaster. Or salespeople who take rejection really personally sometimes. That fuels the drive that makes them great. It's how those traits are channeled uniquely. So giving people feedback based on their gaps against some generic model of excellence might help them become adequate, maybe competent, but it will likely never help them achieve true, unique excellence.
Okay, so if the traditional ways focusing on weaknesses against a standard model are flawed, what should we be doing? How do we apply this new paradigm, focus on strengths, and actually cultivate that unique excellence?
It requires a shift in technique. The first thing is to actively look for outcomes. When you see someone do something, anything, that just works. Something that made you pause and think, wow, that was effective, or that really landed well.
Find those moments of sparks.
Exactly, those moments of excellence, even small ones. And when you see one, stop them, interrupt them even, and say, that, yes, that right there. Draw their attention specifically to that moment when they did something really well.
I love that. Make the positive interruptible. It reminds me of that story about the football coach, Tom Landry.
Oh, the Dallas Cowboys coach? Yes.
Yeah. Didn't he turn the team around by making highlight reels for each player, showing them only their successful plays, their winning plays?
Exactly. He knew there were countless ways to mess up, but for each player, there was a knowable, finite set of ways they succeeded uniquely. By replaying their moments of excellence, he helped them see, understand, and consciously replicate their own successful patterns.
It's about recognizing the pattern that's already inside them.
Precisely. Which leads to the second technique. When you give that feedback, replay your instinctive reactions. Don't judge or rate. Describe your personal experience of their moment of excellence.
So less, that was a good presentation, more.
More like, when you paused after that key statistic, it really gave me a second to absorb it. That was powerful for me. Or the way you framed that question made me think about the problem differently.
Sharing your reaction, your experience.
Yes, that's your truth. It's much more credible, much more useful than trying to give an objective rating, which we now know is flawed anyway.
And building on that, this idea, make what works your highest priority. Interrupt. That feels really radical.
It is. But think about the brain science. When you interrupt someone to point out a mistake, you trigger the threat response, inhibit learning.
Right. Fight or flight.
But when you interrupt them to say, hey, that thing you just did, that really works. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
You ease them into that receptive rest and digest state. Their brain becomes more open to exploring, understanding, and reinforcing that successful pattern.
So focusing on the positive moment is actually more important for learning than correcting the negative one.
In terms of fostering growth and excellence, yes. That's what the evidence suggests. It builds the pathways you want to strengthen.
Okay. But what if someone comes to you and specifically asks for feedback or advice? How do you handle that using this strengths-based approach without falling back into the old find the flaw habit?
Great question. Resist that immediate urge to jump in with solutions or fixes. Instead, guide them to find their own answers by exploring three things: present, past, and future. Start with the present. Ask them, okay, in this situation right now, what are maybe three things that are working for you, even small things?
Prime their brain with positivity first.
Exactly. Get that oxytocin flowing, the creativity drug. Make them feel resourceful and open before tackling the challenge.
Okay, present first.
Then, explore the past. Ask something like, have you faced a similar challenge before? When you had a problem kind of like this in the past, what did you do then that actually worked well for you?
Help them access their own history of success, their own patterns.
Precisely. They've likely solved similar problems before. Help them remember how.
Makes sense. And finally,
Turn to the future. Ask questions like, based on that, what do you already know you need to do next? Or what feels like the right next step for you in this situation? Assume they probably already have a good sense of the solution. Your job is to help them see it clearly.
so you're acting more like a guide, helping them uncover their own answers.
Exactly. You can offer your own experiences, sure, but maybe phrase it as, here's something that worked for me once. Focus on concrete, specific actions rather than speculative whys or judgments. It respects their capability and leads to growth that really sticks because it comes from them.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all up, what's the big picture here? This habit of seeking feedback, it's not just about, fixing little errors.
Not at all. It's really about this ongoing journey of growing into your own unique, most excellent self. It's a commitment to being more self-aware, constantly improving.
And the real power seems to lie in, first, being proactive, asking for those specific insights.
Overcoming that initial discomfort.
Yeah, pushing through that, and then, crucially, making that mental shift, moving away from just trying to fix flaws.
And moving towards identifying and amplifying those unique strengths, those moments of excellence, both in ourselves and in others.
This whole deep dive, it really feels like it reframes feedback, less about judgment.
Much less. And much more about genuinely helping each other recognize and build on those moments when we truly shine.
So final thought then, if there's no failure, only feedback, then every single challenge really does become an opportunity, doesn't it?
It does, a chance to learn and grow.
So maybe the question for everyone listening is, what winning play, what moment of personal excellence will you try to understand and replicate in your own life this week? And who could you ask to help you really see it clearly?
Great questions to ponder.
Start turning those potentially awkward feedback moments into real springboards for growth. Keep asking, keep learning, keep exploring your strengths.
And keep growing into that unique best self.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.